Hey guys, welcome back. Behavior Strategies for Class. This is where we empower educators with effective behavior strategies that work so that you can have a calmer classroom to get your teaching done. And today we're talking about understanding those holiday behavior spikes, right? What's kind of the brain science behind that? Because remember, this month we're on love and kindness, of course, because of Valentine's Day, and that is right around the corner because this will come out on Wednesday, the 11th. So just to kind of prep you, because already I'm sure it's the week of Valentine's Day, everything feels a little louder, faster, more intense. And if your classroom is feeling this dysregulated right now, there's a reason, and it's not your fault. So today we're going to break down some of the brain science behind holiday behavior spikes and the trauma-informed strategies that actually help. Welcome to Behavior Strategies for Class. I am Diane Bachman, your behavior paraprofessional with over 15 years of experience working in special education. And I'm so glad you're here because I'll be teaching you about social emotional learning, behavior strategies, trauma-informed care, and more. So if you are tired of being frustrated and not knowing what to do with your students who have challenging and disruptive behavior, you're in the right place. Now, if you're ready to become more equipped to help your students learn and grow, let's listen in to today's episode. So as always, before we get started, hit that subscribe button, share this podcast or episode with other educators so we can continue to learn and grow together. And another thing before we get started, something I'm excited to share with you is this trauma-informed behavior Micro-Intervention Toolkit for only $10. I created this so you would have a quick calming responses for some of your real world classroom moments. And we know we all have these classroom moments. And so in this toolkit, you're going to find language swaps for emotional regulation and a redirection. You're going to find micro-intervention cards where you could actually print them, laminate them, put them on a key ring, so you have them on the ready, and those will include some co-regulation tips, 10-second kind of soft start to kind of de-escalate the situation before it becomes an even greater escalation. What are some repair conversations that you can have? Predictability reset, right? You know, a lot of your students, they thrive on that predictability, that structure. How do you reset that after a dysregulation? There's also a 2-minute success starter that you can use after a dysregulation. And also a 5-minute reset. Now, this could be a whole class reset. You can see, like I said before, the class is dysregulated. There's a lot of anxiousness going on. How do you kind of help them reset? So there's some ideas in there for that. There's also a what to do when flow chart. So depending on what the behavior is, this gives you what to do on responding to that behavior. There's some wording for students to self-advocate when they are feeling dysregulated. And then there is also a teacher tone guide. Now, this is just a reminder, guys, how important our tone is when you are responding to behavior. I know automatically our response is sometimes frustration, anger, and we just clash, and then we get in a power struggle, and it just doesn't go good for anybody. So that is just a reminder and how important your tone is and how you respond as well. So this toolkit is quick calming response for you. It's a resource that will build your confidence in dealing with your students' dysregulation, and it's only $10. So check out the link in the show notes and get yours today. Okay, so some of the brain science in why holidays spike behavior is, first of all, the predictability drops, right? Routines get changed. There's different maybe assemblies going on. Kids are having programs. There are parties. There's activities. There's crafts. There's all this prep as well. And so the routines are shifting, which means your students' nervous systems are losing their anchor, right? So they don't have that predictability to grab onto. They're kind of floating, if you will. I'm doing air quotes. And they don't have control, and they're not sure what's happening next. Next, sometimes even positive changes can feel unsafe to dysregulated students. So, right, so these activities that you're doing for Valentine's Day, maybe with buddies in a different grade level, like these are all great positive activities, but it is still feeling unsafe for some of your students. Like I said, they don't have that anchor to hang on to. And again, now there's excitement, and excitement equals activation. So the anticipation of the Valentine's Day party activates the same pathways as stress. So busybodies equals dysregulated bodies. So now they're super excited, but in the brain, your brain is not understanding like this is excitement, this is happiness. It is still activating some type of stress and anxiousness in their bodies. There's also the social pressure that intensifies, right? Valentine's Day amplifies belonging, comparison, rejection, sensitivity. Students with trauma histories may feel heightened vigilance. Like some kids, like they're not really sure what love means. Or having people who normally aren't nice to them, and now they're being kind and showing all of this kindness and attention. They don't know what to do with that. So now their brain is activated, right? Now they could be in the fight, flight, or freeze mode. And so they're always looking around to see, am I safe? Am I safe in here? So they're on a heightened alert. So this is the next one where it's a collective nervous system energy, right? Because the teachers, sometimes you are stressed out, right? Trying to get the parties and all the activities and the crafts and the prep work done. Students are excited. And so this can equal amplified emotional climate, right? Everyone is feeling all of this excitement, anxiousness, stress. I've been in a couple classrooms this week, and that's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it feels. So just remember, this is in their brain. This is affecting their nervous system. And so sometimes this is coming out in their behaviors. And so that's why you will see some heightened behaviors in some of your students. So number 2, and to clarify, we're going to go over 5 ideas from this about why holidays affect your students' behavior and why some of those behaviors are spiking. And so number 2, what you can do, or what teachers typically see, is more conflict, right? More impulsivity, more emotional outburst, agreed, more clinginess or withdrawal, more difficulty transitioning, right? They're again kind of all over the place. And so you, as the leader of your classroom, being able to normalize and validate what they're feeling and what they're going through will help calm their systems down, right? So you are reminding them, you know what, these patterns are predictable and sometimes preventable. So reminding them, okay, what can they expect from Valentine's Day parties? What can they expect for their day? What can they expect over here? How can we come to an agreement in dealing with this conflict? Being able to have that reset, like in the toolkit, when they feel that impulsivity, when they're having these emotional outbursts, this difficulty transitioning, do a 2-minute reset, a 5-minute reset for your students and help them be able to calm and come to the center of themselves and focus on something else for a minute. And then go to that transition, finish that lesson, whatever it is you were doing. Reminding them, like, guys, I know this is a lot. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of anxiousness. Like, it's okay. We're going to get through this, but we need to focus on our learning right now. So number 3, trauma-informed strategies that will actually help you, right? Who doesn't want help? We all want help. I was just talking to our social worker and asking for some ideas with one of our students who struggles with a certain transition of the day because I feel like I'm at a loss. Like, I feel like I've done, some strategies and motivations to help with the transitions, and it just doesn't seem to be working. So it's great when you can collaborate and connect with somebody else and ask for help. And so this are some trauma-informed strategies that will help you re-anchor that predictability. So reminding them, and most teachers that I work with, like, they are great going over the day in the beginning of the day on what they can expect. Maybe a transition has changed. Maybe the schedule has changed. Maybe something is updated and they have to, stay longer at another transition. Whatever it is, being able to preview those changes is super important. And then if you have a visual, if it helps to just write it on the board, this is our change for today. And a lot of teachers I see, they just have it on the whiteboard and they can just use a dry erase marker and change or update whatever changes that had to be done for that day. And maybe just highlight it for them and just go over it like, okay, well, usually we do this at this time, but now we're doing this. Getting those micro routines in, those 2-minute rituals, right? A lot of that's in the morning. Where do you put your lunch? If you bring a lunch, where do you put your water bottles? Where are you hanging up your jackets, your backpacks? How do you choose a lunch for the day if you're buying a lunch? All of those routines are super important, and reminding them, okay. And then of course, at the end of the day, it's packing up. Are they wiping down tables? Are they stacking their chairs? Are they, making sure they're getting their homework? Whatever it is, making sure those routines are done. Even for, like, say, math class, they should know the routine. Do they get their math workbook? Do they have their pencil, their eraser, or are they working on their iPad? Are they grabbing that? Do they have their headphones? All of those fun things, making sure that those rituals stay in place. So another way that you can help with the trauma-informed strategy, reduce that social pressure, and you could shift from Valentine's Day, if you want, to Kindness Week. Stretch it out through the day, through the week. How can they show kindness throughout the week, maybe not just to their classroom, but maybe the classroom next door, or maybe their buddies in the school. How do they show kindness to maybe their specials teacher or the librarian? Those little ways that they can have an influence and have an impact is super powerful for them. And that's even the littles. Like, they love to be able to help other kids and other people. And also, you can do whole class activities instead of individual exchanges. Or I've seen a lot of people, a lot of classrooms, they don't make a big deal out of passing out the Valentine's cards. They actually have students do that like throughout the week. So if, Johnny brings stuff in on Monday, he's going to put it in everybody's little box. Now, granted, they've already decorated their little Valentine's boxes. And so those were ready for the beginning of the week. So when kids come in, they just put it in. And if there's some kids that don't have it, then it's not so obvious when you take time to pass them all out and then everybody sees, aren't you passing anything out? Why didn't you pass anything out? I gave you some. Why didn't you give me something? So you just take away from that whole pressure right there, and do that over on the side, and not have that be the big excitement right there. So when they have the party, then they just grab their box and they get to open it and go through it and have fun. Or I'm not even sure, she may just have them take it home. I don't even know if she'll have them have the opportunity to go through it that day, or they just take it all home by the end of the day, and then, then they can enjoy it at home and it's not a big deal. So it takes away some of that social pressure. And then providing scripts for boundaries and friendships for your students. Going through scenarios with them. Okay, if Johnny gave you something and you don't like it, or, Susie didn't give you something, it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to say, well, that made me sad that you didn't bring me anything. Or teaching them, like, it's okay, and you just move on. I think that is a powerful lesson in being able to be like, okay, this did happen. I understand, but now we're going to move on. Like, yes, we validate what they felt. We validate what happened, but then it's time to move on. And here again, you're going to build regulation into the day. Those movement breaks before transitions, doing co-regulation check-ins, and having micro-regulation moments for you, right? I have seen a lot of teachers do some deep breathing themselves. So even when you're leading your classroom in some breathing exercises, definitely you take advantage. If I'm in a classroom and they're doing that, I am definitely taking advantage of doing those deep breaths. If you need to, I don't know, I've seen some teachers use their own fidgets, and that helps them. Sometimes it's just getting, a drink of water, or if you're able to run to the bathroom, right? If another teacher or adult walks in, take that opportunity, run, go to the restroom. I've been in that situation before. I walk in and they're like, please, can I go to the bathroom? Of course. Just giving a minute to step out. And I know that's not really super regulation right there, but maybe it does because you feel a lot better, right? So definitely trauma-informed strategies really will help. Number 4 are some scripts to say to the students to, again, validate and normalize what they're feeling. And like I said, some of these are for the week, and I know I'm midweek in this before Valentine's Day, but these can still apply to the last few days of the week, right? You can say it's a big week. Big weeks can make our bodies feel dysregulated, anxious, excited, sad. but let's slow down together. And then you do a quick movement break or a quick deep breathe, refocus, meditation, whatever it is. You put on that quiet music, you dim the lights, and just have kids sit for a minute. It's pretty crazy, right? To watch your students try and sit quietly, doing nothing for like a minute. Even a minute, they struggle. It's kind of crazy. I know sometimes I do too, but it's super helpful. I've seen how powerful that is as well. Another script you could say is if you're feeling excited or nervous, that makes sense. Here's what we can do. So again, you're acknowledging, you're validating how they're feeling. But what can we do about it? Maybe they can journal. Maybe they can draw a quick picture. Maybe they can move on to whatever the craft is that you're doing in the classroom. This one I love, and saying everyone belongs here. Here's how we're going to show kindness today. I love this. There is a past episode where I talk about, being able to write like thankful, gratitude, kindness notes to their classmates. It's super powerful. Who doesn't want an encouraging note, right? And maybe it's not in that. Maybe it's in the way you help, right, the classroom next to you. Maybe it's the way you all help your teacher that day. The students help the teacher, or your class helps another, maybe in the cafeteria. Wherever it is, how can they show kindness that day? I love that. So, number 5, some simple, doable plans for Valentine's week. Again, I know it's the middle of the week, but I think this is helpful still. A 3-step structure that you can implement right away, right, is that predictability. Post the day's plan visually. A lot of teachers do that, and that is super helpful, not only for all the students, but for all of us adults who walk in and we're like, okay, what's going on in here now? Especially for us, because we are floating around to different classrooms. But again, it is helpful for students because you don't have to explain it all the time and what's happening next. You can just go check the board and they can read and they can see what's next. Having that predictability. Second, connection. Making sure you're doing that check-in. Making sure you're greeting the students with a smile and reminding them you're so glad they're here. Like, it's so great you're here. I love that. And then third, regulation, right? Have one movement break before the highest energy part of the day. And if I could say you could have a movement break before you have your Valentine's party, I think would be super beneficial as well. Because by then, man, that is the highest energy of the day because everybody is super excited. They want all the candy. They want to do the crafts. They want to play the games, right? It's so much fun. But sometimes getting out some of that energy, some of that anxiousness before you start the party, I think would be super beneficial for everybody. Just saying. All right, guys, so we covered a lot today. So we talked about the brain science, the predictability, how it affects your students' nervous system, their brain, their heightened awareness of what is happening. Number 2, what you typically see. And you normalize, validate how they're feeling, what they're going through. Number 3, some trauma-informed strategies that will actually help that re-anchor predictability again, reduce that social pressure, build some regulation into the day, support your own nervous system. Next, number 4, some scripts to say to your students and validating how they're feeling and what's going on and what to do about it, if anything, right? And then number 5, keeping the simple, doable 3-step structure to help you keep some sanity and regulation in your classroom is keeping that predictability, making sure you have that connection and that regulation for your students. I really believe these will help you in getting through the rest of this week of Valentine's Day, because holiday behavior spikes are not a reflection of your skill. They're really a reflection of your student's nervous system and its response to stress and overstimulation. And that reminds me, most of our students have been through trauma, are still going through some traumatic events, and parties are very overstimulating and stressful for them. A lot of our students, they will not stay in the classroom and do the parties. And that's okay. I mean, for us, we're able to take them and bring them into our own classroom where maybe we have a movie on and the lights are low and they can just sit and color, or they can just sit and watch the movie, and some of them will come in and be like, oh, it's so quiet in here. Oh, this feels much better. And if you're able to have a space for some of your students, if they do feel that overstimulation, the overwhelm, is there someplace they can go if it's too much for them? Something to think about. So send this episode to a teacher friend who may need a calmer week. If they're not a regular listener, and if you need to subscribe to this podcast as well, because you're going to get more trauma-informed, research-backed strategies that will help you have a more calm, regulated classroom, not only during these fun holiday times, but throughout the rest of the year. So guys, which one of these are you going to implement this week? Are you going to work on the scripts for your students? Are you going to help reduce some social pressure? Are you going to keep that predictability and connection and regulation? I would love to hear how you have adapted one of these strategies. All right, guys, I will see you next week. And don't forget, check the show notes for your $10 Micro-Intervention Toolkit resource that you need today to start working and helping you respond with confidence and care and connection with your students who dysregulate. You can do this. You got this. You're doing amazing. You really are. And I just thank you so much for showing up each and every day for your students and doing way more than anybody can see or thank you enough. All right, guys. I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening. I truly appreciate your support. And if I have encouraged you, motivated you to continue to learn, to support your students, even better, to help them strive in your classroom, please leave a review, hit that subscribe button so that others can see they can learn and grow here as well. Thank you.